What's up, legends? Welcome back to the Fitness in Business podcast. John Salmon here, and today I'm joined by a good friend of mine, Tri Tran. How are you, mate?
I'm very well, John. How are you?
Really well, dude. Really well. Thanks for asking, mate. This will be a great conversation. We've known each other for a few years. Kind of started our businesses around the same time. And we're in a similar industry, so it should be a great chat. And for a bit of background, for anyone tuning in who's coming back, thank you for returning. Glad you found enough value in a previous episode to come back. And if you're new here, Fitness in Business is about getting men in business what I call fit for business, which is being fit, healthy, strong, and having an appearance and a presence that you're proud of. So being able to show up for your family, your business, your friends, yourself, and your life whilst maintaining, your physical and mental wellness. So, yeah, mate, we'll crack in. Tell us, like, for anyone tuning in who doesn't know who Tri Tran is, tell us a little bit about you, where you're from, what your business is, and probably why you think we're having a little chat today on the Fitness and Business podcast.
Yeah, thanks,
Take the
John.
stage.
Good day, everybody. So my name is Tri. I am from Brisbane, and so my business is called the Alpha Den, which is just sort of like a home-based personal training business. And what else did you want to know, John? So that was that, and
When you launch your business would be awesome, just to give people a bit of a timeline. Yeah.
So I launched my business in 2021. So going into my fourth year of business now, and it's been quite a journey.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and we've naturally, with any people in business, you get busy and you have those moments of time where you check in, catch up for lunch or a coffee or a phone call and things like that, which we've done over the years. But it's been great getting to know you and sort of sharing the journey, so to speak, of developing ourselves primarily, but also the business, which naturally comes along with it. But it's interesting how it's like they go back and forward. You think you're developing the business, but I think it's honestly like it develops you more than anything from a self-development perspective, which is awesome. Mate,
Yeah.
tell us about like why, like what drove you to launch your business? Because I know there'll be people that were like us listening to this, that have a job or they are working for someone else, or maybe they have launched their business, but they're not happy in it. And what made you go like, stuff it, I'm going to launch my own business. I'm going to do my own thing. What was that? Do you remember?
I just got sick of working in a job, having being told what to do, not having the decisions, and I guess not having the ability to make decisions. And it was more so the workplace that I was working in started to get really toxic, but then I was kind of had those golden handcuffs, the money was good and the work was not that bad, but the place was just very toxic. So from there, I kind of just had enough, but I didn't really know what I wanted to do or how I was going to achieve it or anything like that. And I guess that the vehicle was just, the business was just a vehicle for me to build something of my own. Yeah. So, and I always remember it. So the place that I was working in, it was, I guess, just the typical place where you kind of climb the ladder and all that sort of stuff. And I always remember reading something that said, if you didn't want to climb a ladder, build your own. So I went, that's pretty cool. I'm going to build my own. And here I am.
That's great. That's a really cool line. And it really draws reference to the fact that you can quite literally, like metaphorically, climb someone else's ladder, or say, you know what, I'm going to carve my own path, have a real go and see what happens. Worst case scenario, go back to the job. So I just wanted to cover that because I know there's probably people that tune in that that are in a role that they don't want to be in. And they're like, well, I'm listening because I like the fitness stuff, but I also like the whole business side of things, but I'm not in that space yet. So, mate, from the perspective of staying fit for business, which is, like I said, staying fit, healthy, strong, mentally and physically, like, I give us some background so people understand, like, you've done bodybuilding shows, you've coached loads of people through to getting on the stage themselves, but also just improving their mindsets, improving their life, feeling good in their skin again. Give us some background on your own fitness journey and what that looks like, because you've got some really cool things that I know you're quite humble about, but I'd love for you to share some of those wins with the crew.
I guess my fitness journey started when I was a teenager, just going into the gym and just doing chest and biceps because you thought that's all the only muscles you had. Um, just from there, it just kind of grew. I always trained, but I felt in and out of training. There'd be periods where I didn't train, there'd be periods where I did train.
Mm.
And then I went to a bodybuilding show, not because I wanted to see the local bodybuilders, but because Ronnie Coleman was coming. And I thought, oh, Ronnie Coleman's coming, so I'll go and
Nice.
see Ronnie. But then when I went there, I just thought, wow, these men and women are unreal. There's something else. And at the time I thought, oh, I could never ever do that. Like it's just too much. I could never do it. And then and then I remember training at the gym and I saw one of the guys that competed. And I just went up to him and said, wow, I saw you compete. You were amazing, blah, blah, blah. And he said, yeah, you could do it too. And that kind of just, from somebody telling me that was
Mm.
on stage that I saw, and I started to think, yeah, maybe I can. So from there, I sought out a coach, and then the prep. So I gave myself a year to get ready. So it was October, and the comp was October the next year. So a whole year, a 20-week prep. Got on stage, didn't place, didn't anything, but just the whole experience just really it really drove me, and it really sparked a passion in me for the human body, like how we can
Mm.
manipulate the human body to perform the way we want, to look the way we want, etc., etc.
Mm.
And then so from there, I was competing for on and off maybe for another maybe 7 or 8 years, and throughout that I just learned a ton through being coached myself, and then I started coaching other people, etc., etc. And that's where it kind of stayed. And I was just the resident health and fitness guy for family and friends. And it wasn't, and it wasn't until so joining Mantastic, as you've probably spoken about on your podcast before,
Mm. Mm.
that we kind of just broke down what my values were and what I really valued in life. And at the time, I really didn't even know. But then training was such a massive part of my life. I competed in bodybuilding shows. I was the resident health and fitness guy. I
Mm.
trained all the time. So I thought, you know what, let's start a business in
For
personal
sure.
training. And then that's when the idea of starting a home-based gym
Mm.
started.
Mm.
And yeah, and just back to that, now that talking about it, taking me back to that time to, I guess, where my business is now compared to where it was then. It's night and day, but I forget that journey. So
Mm.
thank you for
Mm.
asking me to sort of share this journey, because I kind of forget it. And where it is now compared to then, like I said, it's night and day. But back to the topic of your business developing you, I've kind of had to develop myself into the person that can build a business, and not only build the business, but sustain the business. And that
Mm.
takes, as you know,
Mm.
uh, F load of work,
Yeah,
and
big
and it
time.
continues, and it never ends. So I
Yeah.
hope that's enough of my share. But if you wanted me to elaborate on anything else, I'm happy to.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, dude. I think it's valuable to understand like where people come from, because often it's amazing how like the current situation, people see a social media post, a conversation, a photo, whatever it is, or someone says, oh, Tree, my coach this, or John's podcast this, but there's that whole body of work and this isn't like for anyone listening, I'm not trying to have Tree and me sit here saying, we're awesome, we run businesses. What I'm getting at is that to get to any stage of business, if someone can remain in it, linking back to the pillars and the values of fitness in business and the podcast, is that you have to look after yourself. And
Mm,
so in that journey, there's loads of decisions that have to be made and things you have to say no to, and like stuff that I really want to dig in here because I know you've had these experiences and so have I. But talking about like where you're at now with looking after yourself, what do you do from a like if someone's listening and they're like they just don't do anything with their
mm.
fitness and their health and wellness, just like the dot point version of like how do you make sure that from a week to week, month to month perspective, you're staying on top of fitness, nutrition, movement, like all the things that make up what you know, you and I know, but some people listening don't. What's Tree? What do you do?
So and as you would know, in John, in business, there's no 2 days that are the same. You know, you're either putting out fires or you're building something or whatever it may be. So, and for me, I've kind of realized there's periods in my life and business where I've got an abundance of time, energy, et cetera, to focus on my health and fitness. And there are times where I've got sweet FA. So I kind of have two separate plans: a plan for when things are going good and when things aren't really going good. So, but I'll talk about the one when things aren't going good, because I feel like that's probably where a lot of
Yeah.
your listeners can get the value from.
Really relevant. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, it's just I go, okay, so what are the things that contribute to me to performing well? So I read in a book somewhere, and they said, you know, in you have an offensive team, and then you have a defensive team. So offensive team is when things are going well. You know, you're training optimally, et cetera, et cetera. But then your defensive team is sort of like, okay, things are going pear shaped. I'm getting attacked here. What do I need to put in place to ensure that this continues to continue performing optimally? And for me, it's just steps. In terms of nutrition, I just eyeball things. So I know, because I've been doing it for a long time, I kind of know what consists what, et cetera, et cetera. So to give you an example is when my offensive team, he tracks, he knows exactly gram for gram of what he's consuming. Defensive team, okay, Tree, don't make bad decisions. Know the food that you need to eat and don't eat shit. That's my defensive team. And from it's pretty simple, man. And then for training, it's
100%.
one or two sessions a week. That's it. And steps, 7,000 to 8,000 steps. You know, and for everybody who's into fitness, the 10,000 step mark is sort of like the benchmark for where you want to be. But if life isn't allowing you to get there, set a different benchmark, 7,000, because then you have a parameter around you, meaning, okay, I need to hit 7,000. So there's an accountability piece, and also how do I say it? It's just something where you're disciplined to as well.
100%.
So it's, and water. Make sure I drink water. That's it.
That's so good, man. How simple is that? Like if you're listening, which I know there's people that listen, which is awesome because it gives them value. There's just 4 things: walk, drink water, don't eat shit, and sorry, what was the 4th? I swear I counted 4.
And 2 training sessions.
2 training sessions. Which is mad. And I love that you said, because it's interesting. I've recently changed. When I say recent, it's probably been 6 or 8 months. From my step thing, I used to consistently, as I got busier and had more clients to look after and, just handling life. It's funny how I would always started to fall short of 10,000. And because I like to achieve, we like to tick things off, we're driven people. When you start to like not tick things off and you stuff it up, you can start to spiral and be like, haven't done this. Man, I dropped mine, like, not to get too specific with people, but 7,500 was the number that I dropped, because it means even if I fall slightly short, right, I'm still generally over 50,000 for the week. And that number generally means I've got to move for about an hour in the day, which is awesome, because if I sleep for 8 and I've got 16 left and I'm only moving for 1, that still means I'm still for 15, which is a lot. So
it's heaps.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things where you want to be able to set a system up where it's a no-brainer. Because for me, my mental bandwidth or my mental capacity, probably 80% of it during the day is focused on business. So that leaves me 20% to I know these are just rough numbers, but 20% for the rest of the stuff. Now, if that 20% is taken up of, what do I need to eat? Where do I need to go and train? What do I need to do? How many steps? Now, all of a sudden, I've only got 10% left for my family, for whatever else is going on. So, like, Mark Zuckerberg, how he wears the same shit every day, is to eliminate that decision fatigue. One less thing you have to think about. Cool. That's a little bit more you've got to dedicate to something else. So I'm really big on not really systemizing my life, but just going through every area and just going, okay, so how can I make this simple as fuck? So, if I'm allowed to swear on here, sorry.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah,
mate, go for it. That's so true because it means that it's hard to stuff it up. If it's so
exactly.
simple, it's like
Yeah,
if I, how can I work out this plan? It's like A, B, C, D, E.
yeah,
How can I just not stuff this up? Because
yeah,
then the excuses don't come in. The down like the downfalls and the spiraling and all that. It doesn't happen because it's just like it's so easy
yeah.
to win at.
But the beauty of that also is for me is I'm setting, even though it's easy, there's still a parameter
Mm,
around that activity. So I go, okay, 7,000 steps is quite easy, but there's still a benchmark there. I still need to hit seven. So if it's 8 o'clock at night, I've only got five, instead of just going, stuff it, I'll go, shit, I've made a commitment to myself. It's not
mm,
10,000, it's only another 2,000. So I want to circle back to what you said before around about that not hitting the mark. So for me, I protect this at all costs. Meaning, okay, so if I continually do this and it's putting me into a negative mindset, I'm fucking it off. Because
mm.
what's the point in having it there if it's not conducive to you having a positive mindset and going where you want to go with your business, with life, etc.
Yeah.
So when I was constantly feeling short, I was feeling like I was failing, right? So I just went, you know what? I don't want to feel like I'm failing at this, because it's important to me, but it's not as important as when I was competing. I would never
Mm.
ever fail that. Whereas now I go, all right, I'm falling short from 10. Let's make it 8. Cool. 8. All of a sudden, I feel like I'm achieving again.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. That's great, man. That's really good. Um, that's cool, mate. I'll move on to next one because I think this will be valuable. What? This is a great question, and this is a question that got asked of me a while ago, but so it's not mine. What challenges do you face when you don't stay on top of your physical and mental wellness in your life? Like, where does it show up? Where do you notice it?
My focus, and I guess my ability to just know. So I always know what I'm trying to achieve and where I'm
Mm,
trying to head with business and also life, because that's just a goal. I know I'm trying to head there. But when I'm not on top of my rest, recovery, all the things that keep me going and performing optimally, that is it's not clear. So I lose my focus and my clarity, and that's sort of like the first trigger for me to go, okay, something's off here.
yeah.
What's off? I'm not as clear or as focused as I used to be.
Mm, mm. That's interesting, and like coming straight back to business is kind of
Mm.
what it's about. If you don't have focus and clarity day to day, even in the little things, then you're certainly not going to make good big decisions.
Mm.
Which, if you're trying to grow and develop and manage clients and stuff, you would be trying to have lots of that clarity and focus. But that that can really start looping back again to our thing before about ticking things off, getting the work done, being in a success mechanism where everything's working well. Mate, how fast can that go the other way when you lose clarity, you lose focus, and you start making dumb decisions, and you lose your temperament and just all that spiral? It's
Mm.
bad news.
Yeah, it's fast, but then you don't if you're not self aware or you don't reflect, it
Yeah.
creeps up on you. So that's
Yes.
why the things like journaling, journaling is really good, or just solo time. Go for a walk or just sit down somewhere and just think about what's going on in my life, what's going on
Mm,
in business, what can I improve on, what am I fucking up in, what am I sort of dropping the ball in. That's why I'm really big on solo time. It's every business owner, everyone. I'm really big on just an hour a day. I know time is limited, but if you can put an hour a day where you can just sit there and stare at
mm,
a blank wall, like whatever it is, just give yourself that time to reflect and then just think about your day, your week, or whatever it is.
mm. 100%. Mate, where did the lesson on um, okay, what did you call it? Oh, the offensive and defensive team.
Mhm.
Because one of the things I wanted to ask you was what doesn't work for you, what hasn't worked in the past. And I'm assuming that the offensive team
Mhm.
strategy or system
Yeah.
has at some point stopped working. So you had to fall back to, because we fall to our systems.
Yeah.
So you had to create another one, which is like the baseline system. And then this is the optimal system when I do have all that time and effort and energy to do 4 or 5 sessions a week and weigh my food. What's the lesson there? Like, when did that happen? Did something go bad? Did something fall out of place? Did you, slacken off? Like, what was it that made that happen?
So similar to that step analogy, or what you want to call it
Yeah.
before, about failing. So I went, you know what? I'm not hitting these 4 sessions every week. So why have I got them programmed?
Mm.
Like I'm just feeling like I'm not doing the program properly. So being a trainer, I created a 2 day a week program. So
Hmm.
now I feel like I'm able to finish the program.
Yeah.
I'm the trainer. What would I say to a client in my position? Bro, drop your steps from 10 to 8. Cool. I did that. Oh,
Mm.
bro, if tracking's a pain in the ass, do it intuitively and just track once or twice every month. That's it.
For
So then I
sure.
was like, hey, why don't I do that too? So I created the plan for myself.
Yeah. That's fascinating. I've been through those moments plenty too, where you're happy to, and this is where humility is really valuable tool. You like sometimes, and I do this sometimes. You're happy to give the advice out and tell everyone, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. This is the best idea ever. But then when it comes to you and you look in the mirror, it's like, hang on a second, I don't want to hear that shit. But when you actually, be humble and listen to your own advice, it's very fascinating what happens and what comes up. So that's awesome. And do you know what? A lot of the potential listeners, people that we probably have as clients now, and maybe some from both of our pools of people who will listen to this at some point in the future. Um, and if you are, I hope you're getting value there, because there's lots of little lessons embedded here already. But what I was going to say was, it's just fascinating when you can take a step back, and we'll probably both talk about that whole bird's eye view thing and look and go, is this working? Is this what I'm doing? Is it getting a good outcome? And if it's not, and the reason I brought that bit up is because there will be people listening who don't train, they don't walk, they don't eat well, they live on fast food, alcohol. They just don't look after themselves in any way. And the value in what Tree was just saying is that you can just invest 3 or 4 hours a week, maybe collectively, in looking after yourself. And if you add up all your waking hours after sleep, you've got a lot of them. You've genuinely got a lot. And so it's not always about, I don't have time. It's about the restructure and finding, and again, we'll loop back again. We've got a lot of loop backs. But when you said about your values, like, what do you value? Do you value, and if it's just getting that to the end of the month and hitting the KPI, great. But it's the first in, was it tomorrow or the next day? The next month will happen, the next month will happen, the next month will happen, and it will just literally keep happening. So if you can embed 2 or 3 time periods a week to eat well, walk, and train, how simple is that, mate? For
Yeah.
someone that's doing nothing, like low barrier to entry, I reckon.
Yeah. And I just want to, I guess, touch on your topic there about just what was the topic around about? So just set something up so that you can't lose. Do you know what I
Mm,
mean? And just think
mm,
about, like, let's just say somebody who hasn't done anything, they're just sedentary, their
mm.
diet's not that great, no water, no activity, etc., but they know that health and fitness is something that they need to focus on. So I always share this with my clients who say, "Oh, you know what? I can't track. It's no good for me. Training, I can't get out for the steps. I want to do this. I can't do this. I can't do that." And I say to them, "Okay, so do you keep a budget, and are you good with your money?" Yes. Why? Because you value it. Now, if you had the same amount of value into health and fitness, would you do it? Yes. That's it's a value. It's a value thing.
Mm,
Like they
mm.
go, I can't track. I'm no good. I go, okay, cool. Are you good with budgeting? Oh yeah, I know exactly what's coming in. I know exactly what's going out.
Yes.
Why? Oh, because we need money. Yeah, because you value money. So,
Mm,
but when you get sick, what are you using to get better? Money. So you're sacrificing your health to earn the money that later on, when your health's gone, you're going to use this money to fix your health up. So if you look at it from that perspective, right,
yes.
you need
Totally.
to value health more than money. And then when I sort of explain that to them, they go, "Oh, yeah, okay." Because I firmly believe, unless you have like learning difficulties or whatever it is,
Mm,
if you put your mind to things, you can learn it. Like I
yeah.
honestly believe that, because I don't want to, but for me is prior to doing all this sort of stuff, I'm starting business, etc. I was flat out turning on a computer, and you would know that, John, because you kind of,
Mm.
well, you were there for those days. And in the past, I'd tell myself, Tree, you're too old to learn how to use computers. You can't. You've gone past that stage. But
Mm.
now, because I've got a value to business and creating the life that I want, I need to become a bloke that can use computers. So guess
Yes.
what? I went to learn how to use computers. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's a roundabout way of sort of explain a bit of a segue, but it's just where you put your value. It's not you can't do it or whatever story you may be telling yourself. It's because your values are not they're not aligned. You haven't
Yes.
put value towards it.
Yes,
Yeah.
mate. Totally agree. I totally agree.
Mm.
It's on that same note, and you may or may not remember this. Not if you do, or jump in because I'm sure you'll have a funny comment around it. But on the note of not knowing how to do something, and I'll loop this back to health and fitness and all of that in a second. But this is another experience where I was humbled because I really love those experiences because I think they're the ones that make you go, like they're the ones that where the real lessons are when you have to say I was wrong.
Yeah.
And you and I both use a coaching app platform called Trainerize. I'm assuming you still use it.
Yeah.
And thousands of coaches globally use it. And if you're listening to a white label thing, you can put your own branding in, build your own programs. And that's where we provide our programming and nutrition stuff to our clients online. One-stop shop for all the stuff. And so at one point when I started my business, there was a few things. I didn't have a load of clients. I didn't know how to use Trainerize properly. And I also hadn't learned how to program very well yet. I was still learning all those things, right? And I remember that I started using Trainerize, and you and I might have had a conversation or two about it. And then you showed me a few things, and I built a couple of programs and had some clients start using it. Now, with any business, there's expenses. And it was one of those expenses that as you get more clients into using it, it gets more expensive. So when that bumped into the next tier, A, it was a higher expense. B, I didn't really know how to use it. And C, because I wasn't a great, shouldn't have said that because I sound cocky, because I wasn't as good as a coach as I am currently, then because I've gotten better over time, I didn't know how to use it well and coach well. So I asked the clients that were using it, what do you think of Trainerize? And you may or may not remember this. I remember I was on the phone walking down the road, and you said to me something like, "How's coaching and how's this and how's your Trainerize thing?" I was like, "Oh, I'm going to get rid of Trainerize." And one client had said to me, "Oh, it's a bit." Do you remember this? Yeah, he said to me, "It's a bit." What did he say? Gimmicky or something like whatever it was, the design of it or something. And I thought to myself, "Oh, I'm trying to get these, particular clients, and they probably want it to look a certain way." And he said that, so blah blah. And I held on to that little comment as the reason for not developing these three, what I now know as three problem areas in me, and I used that. And so on that note, that was just my share of my own one single experience where I made a decision to not do something to get better in three areas because of a comment or a thought. And on the note of, I guess, collectively what we're talking about is people hold back from starting their health and fitness journey all the time and tap out because of little tiny excuses and the narratives and stories that we have in our heads about you can't use computer, someone doesn't like Trainerize, I'm going to stop using it. But really they're our own like gaps in knowledge that we have to fill. And sometimes it's hard to go, I'm overweight, and when I look in the mirror, I'm not happy. I'm going to pivot and make a change, make a decision to change. Or I don't know how to exercise. The bench press hurts my chest. It's because there's no muscle on the chest. So you have to get stronger. And so I guess, to cover that off and throw the floor back to you, those experiences and looking back make you go, wow, sometimes it's good to have the other person in your ear, because you probably said to me, oh, that sounds like bullshit. Like everyone uses Trainerize anyway, dude. Like that's not the reason. And now I know it was my own lack of skill, understanding, development, and I moved through that. So it's that story share wasn't to prop myself up. It's to draw real relevance to that you can change and pivot and grow and learn anything, like you were just saying.
Yeah,
So
and I think it's just making a promise to being a lifelong learner. So that's what I've said to myself is, you know what, I know nothing. You know, I know nothing, and then that way you've had that hunger for to be a lifelong learner. Yeah, so I think it was Epictetus, the philosopher, who says a wise man, something like a wise man knows that he knows nothing. Yeah,
yeah,
something like
yeah,
that. Mm,
100%.
mm,
Yeah, man, that's I love not like, for example, if someone raises a topic, it's kind of like exactly what you're just saying. Someone raises a topic and you say, instead of yeah, I know, it's
mm,
tell me more about that. What do you know about that? And
mm,
it's fascinating what you learn more about if instead of saying, you know, because like you'd get this too, right? Someone will start with you from a coaching perspective, excuse me, and you're running through basics of nutrition and their training and that. Yep, I know. And it's, well, you probably wouldn't have just paid me that cash and be sitting in front of me on the Zoom call if you knew all this. And so that's like the next lesson. And I've done that too. But I
mm,
think it's about knowing what the gaps are and trying to fill them
mm.
with people that can help you. Which brings me to my next question. For you, with like, you obviously run a coaching business, and I'll get you to plug it and share it in a second. But um, what do you think is really valuable in people having a coach and help to do with their fitness, nutrition, mindset, stress, all that stuff? Like, what do you think is something that you've noticed across the board, male, female, any role, doesn't matter? What's like, what do you think impacts people in having help?
Hmm. So, so first off, I'm going to give an opinion, my opinion on something, and all PTs, and I'm probably doing myself a disservice here too. But what we do, if anybody wanted to, they could find it on the internet. You know, it's not that difficult. You've got Chat GPT, all this sort of stuff. But I think where the real skill in coaching comes from is meeting your client where they are and then giving them just enough sort of challenge to push them through and just continually doing that, but also knowing when to pull back. So I feel like for me is sort of, most of my clients know what to do, but it's that accountability and coming in and me just going, okay, so I've got this program planned, but John he's looking a bit off today. Something's on his mind. I think something's off. Hey, bro, what's going on? You all good? Oh, this is happening. Oh, okay. So then in my mind, I know what program I had planned, but because he's off, I know he's not going to be able to do it. So I readjusted in my mind and then away we go. But that's twofold. There, he gets an outlet. We have a bit of a chat, but he doesn't feel like he's losing. Whereas if I gave
Mm-hmm.
him the program that I wanted him to do, and he misses he misses all his sets, etc., he's going to feel worse than when he came in. So in that session, it's not about building muscle; it's just about building the client up so he can continue on the journey.
Yes.
So I don't know if that answers your question, but I feel like that's where, again, not saying that I'm skilled, you're skilled, or whatnot, but I feel like
Mm-hmm.
that's the true value of a skilled coach.
Yeah, yeah, that's really good. I think both of us enjoy being humble, having humility, and things like that. But it's probably fair to say we have put in the time, we have put in the reps, we have put in the effort, we've worked with people, and we are good coaches. That's why we're doing what we're doing, you know. So I appreciate your humility, but I also want to say to you, like, you are a great coach, man. And I know that because we've done things together, we've had conversations, we've worked through challenges, and it's those. And I agree with your answer, and I'd probably say the same had it be asked of me. Like, it's not always what's a good 3 day split. Ask ChatGPT, go to YouTube. There's thousands, probably millions of them out there. There would be millions. But it's the moments in time where you need the specific advice from someone that knows your journey, knows the family, knows the
Yeah.
decisions, knows the business, knows all the little intricate details, and goes, that's not the best route for you this week. Do this instead.
Mm.
And it's like, they can take the next step instead of
Mm.
having a backward step.
Yeah, and again, from a book I read, and this was me in the past too, and it said if a good coach doesn't just light a fire under his client, a good coach burns with his client. And I went, what does that mean? Like, what does that actually mean? And to me, I was sort of like, okay, so I'm
Mm,
every single of my clients, I'm going on this journey with them. It's not
yeah,
just like, here's the program, and every time they come in and see me, what did you do? Come on, we got to fucking do this. That's how I used to be. But now
yeah,
it's sort of like, okay, so where's the client at? What do I need to provide to be a better coach? And that's
mm,
all I
mm,
provide. It's not about trying to be like this, give them this big flash program and all these intricate things, blah, 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 and away you go. It's about getting them from A to B. Where's
yeah,
B? And with your experience, you know the landmines, you know all the sort of shit because
mm,
you've done it before. So then you're
for sure.
able to coach them through those times.
100%. And people can often feel, and I'm saying this because there'll be people that listen that might have started their journey, and I'm sure some of my clients and your clients will listen. We know the landmines are coming.
Mm,
They just don't predict it. Sometimes you think I've got, don't care if you get a program off GPT or you get it off one of us.
mm,
But when you're getting help with something, you think, and I've thought this about business coaching, fitness coaching, all kinds of different things. You think, I'm getting this help. This person's going to just go and take me straight to the top. And it's
mhm.
absolutely not the case
No,
with anything. And so
no.
you're like, their problem and their thing they've got to overcome can feel massive,
Mhm.
and it's the person that's removed emotionally from the process that goes, just do this.
Yeah.
And they're like,
Yeah. I'd
great,
like to add a bit to that too. To
yeah, go, man.
a person who can remove themselves emotionally, but also think critically, that has experience in that area. So
Mm,
that's
mm,
probably the best way I could describe the benefits of having a coach is having somebody who has no emotion yet is empathetic to your situation, empathetic, not sympathetic, but
yes,
also has a toolbox of things to help you navigate those landmines and knows what tools to use when. Yeah.
100%. Excuse me. That couldn't have said it better. That's really good. Yeah, yeah.
Thanks, man.
um yeah, that's great. And mate, from the perspective of of challenge, when we talk about probably not even just about, because I mean this pod's not just about people staying fit and healthy, it's keeping them in business, like staying
Mm.
fit for business. What's something that's been really challenging for you in your business? And you don't have to share details about finances, people's names and all of that, but just something that really impacted you that was like I'm going to have to change how I'm doing things because this is like, I'm just not enjoying this. I want to tap out, whatever it is. I know you've got a really strong mindset, but something that, because people resonate with this stuff, I
Mm.
believe.
The
Put you on
biggest,
the spot with that one.
so that I've got plenty of challenges, but I'm trying to think of the biggest one.
A relevant one. Yeah.
I think it was early on in my business where I probably wasn't as cluey with cash flow, finances, and understanding the ins and outs of business. And I
Mm,
just thought, hey, the tap's turned on. It's just going to continue to run and it's going to run heavier and it's going to fill up this sink. That sink is going to fill up so many sinks. And then I just thought, okay, that's my, so that was my in person business. And I thought, you know what? I want to build an online business. But the thing there is, I didn't keep the main thing the main thing. I kind
mm,
of withdrew too much from the main business and put too much into the online business. And as that started to dwindle, cash flow started to dwindle. Oh shit,
mm,
what do I do now? And then that's when I kind of understood that, hey, you always got to keep the main thing the main thing. And Warren Buffett, I think this was a quote from him. He says, don't risk what you have and need for something you don't have or don't need. And that's what I did. I risked what I had and needed for something that I don't have and all really needed at the time. So that was
mm.
probably the biggest challenge and also lesson for me is sort of always know your priorities, know what you're doing, know what's the main thing, know all that sort of stuff.
That's interesting, man. And if you don't want to dig on this, just let me know. It's fine.
Yeah.
I can cut it out. But the the where did you notice that? Was it in your self care? Was it in your client looking after your clients? Was it in um, where did it show up? Was it in the family, the temperament? Like what what ball was dropped?
Well, first off, it was the finances. I've gone, oh, so finances are dropping, clients are dropping, and I thought, what's going on? And then I did. It wasn't until I really took a step back and sat down and gone, am I still delivering at the same level that I was prior to doing this? No,
Mm,
I wasn't, because I was like, you know what? I've got this other thing I'm working on. This is going to sort itself out. I'm just going to put all my time, energy, and focus into that. And it wasn't until the clients dropped off and I thought, shit, there's more than just client acquisition, there's client retention. And the
yes.
retention part is what I was sort of dropping off, because I was too focusing on acquisition, but not acquisition into this business, into the other business. And that's when I went, okay, so retention is a lot easier than
Mm,
acquiring new clients. So then I put all my time, energy, effort, and creation into going, how can I give my clients the best possible client journey? What do I do? What do I need to level up on? And that's, I guess, the start of what you see now in the Alpha Den is me just obsessing about that, just going,
mm,
my
mm.
clients are the best asset in my, like they're the number one asset in my business. So why wouldn't I look after them? It'd be stupid not to.
100%. Yeah, yeah. Mate, I think anyone in business has probably done that. I've done that as well. Like
Well,
and it takes the white flag, like, hey, whoops, sorry about that. And, again, humility and just jumping back on the wagon. But I think linking that to health and fitness, in your opinion, as a fitness coach, health coach, like I know you look after your people well. How do you think that lessons like that other people are going through, how do you think that looking after yourself, again, main idea of this pod,
hmm.
like looking after yourself physically and mentally, having clarity, focus, and all those things helped you overcome those challenges? Because I know so many people are missing that in their world: fitness, wellness, nutrition. Like, how have those habits sustained you through moments like that?
Well, it helps you see. It helps you see clearly, and then if you're able to remove you emotionally from the situation, having that clarity is where your problems are solved. That's why, like for me, walking, that's where I have the moments of clarity to go, man, this has been annoying me for a while. What's going on? But 9 times out of 10, the answer is right underneath this thing. Fuck.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Guys, thank you very much for tuning in to the Fitness and Business Podcast. Tree, great guest, mate. Appreciate the conversation. I hope
Thank
you've
you.
enjoyed it too. Any closing comments, mate? Where can people find you if they? I don't care if they, if they want it. If they think Tree is awesome, I want to get in touch. How do they do it?
Just the alphaden.au on Instagram and the Alpha Den on Facebook.
Perfect, man. Perfect. I'll wrap us up. All right, team. Good listening. Have a great day.